Let's take a look at building 3D objects in Photoshop. Like video, 3D is simply another layer, and we are going to start with a flat background image. I am going to right-click and choose Duplicate Layer, and we'll be building this sphere. Now I have a copy of this DC image directly over top of the background layer. Under the 3D menu, I can choose New Mesh from Layer, and in Mesh Presets, Photoshop has quite a few to choose from, built-in shapes so that they automatically create for you from the image you are looking at. Now, even though there are a few presets we are looking at here, Photoshop doesn't necessarily do the polygons, the underlying structure of a 3D model that stunned the 3D authoring program, like 3D Studio Max, for example. So if you wanted to draw a chair or a table, you really do that, the 3D program, and you could bring it in with 3D New Layer from File. Now what I am going to do is switch to the 3D workspace because they have dramatically improved usability. And if am on the 3D workspace, the choices I saw under the 3D menu will be here as well. And I could choose Mesh from Preset and then select, in this case, a sphere. And then click Create, and once I click Create, you will see my sphere is built. You will see maps exactly to the background image that it came from. When you build a 3D shape, it really consists of three things: a mesh, which has the underlying structure of the 3D model, the polygons that I described. There is always at least one mesh. It has materials. Materials control the appearance of the mesh, and they actually use texture maps. In this case, the appearance is the image we are using to create it, and they have lights. You see the little light widget appear where I can click and change the light source and see how that affects the shadow in the background. Shadows are automatic and they follow the objects now. Now click back on the 3D object, and I want to scale it down a bit, so I will move it on the Z axis. If I drag down, it's coming towards you. If I drag up, it's getting smaller on the Z plane, basically moving away from you. But sometimes I find I just do this several times until I land at my desired size. Now the green and the red will let you move on the Y-axis, or rotate or scale, and the same on the X, rotate or scale. Each little shape does something different, but I am going to move it on the plane overall. So I have moved that up here, and you will notice the shadow making it look like it's floating higher, and then I will rotate it. I want to see a little bit of the Capitol building, and then I will move up and rotate it in this direction. And a really fun thing to do is go to Layers and simply duplicate this layer. I will name it Sphere 1. Before I do that, and now I can drag this down to the New Layer icon, or duplicate it just like I did earlier with a right click. I will double click and name this Sphere 2. And now I am going to move this on the scene, so I will move it over to the left. And now I want to rotate it so that I could see a different portion. And you have to get a little bit of practice which rotation direction you want in order to get the object to actually move. So here I have got the final rotate around the Y-axis. And I will aim for the top gray bounds and rotate it down a little bit. Just using your best judgment for the effect you are trying to create. I always imagine, when I build this exercise, that aliens are coming to say hello to our nation's capital. There we go, and I am not going to make it perfect. The goal is to see shapes that you can build. So let's take a look at a few of the other built-in shapes. If I click on this birdhouse, one of the first 3D features I saw was New 3D Postcard, and that under 3D, New Mesh from Layer and Postcard. A postcard can create the look of something casting in the background, like a brochure laying on a table, for example. So I can click and drag and put this in perspective. Now, since this is such a simple 3D model, the ground plane to me is distracting. So I could choose a view, show and turn off the 3D ground plane, and now just pick it up and move it in 3D space. They even show me a little cube or rectangle that is kind of trapped inside to indicate what it's doing as you drag in different directions. You can do this with placed video. It's amazing. The next shape I will build is, I will come to this raindrop texture, and I am already in a 3D workspace. So I could do 3D new mesh from layer and choose a cylinder from here, or I can use a method. I is first. Choose cylinder and click create, and this makes basically I can or attempt. I can click on the object and I will scale, so I just have to get to the right icon on this 3D widget. There we go. Scale along the Y to make it a little bit short and stocky, and then come over here. Scale along the X, and I will do a little rotation so you could see the top to see that it is truly a cylinder. And as I move anything, they have shadows in the background. So, with these 3 examples, you saw 3 different ways to use the 3D tools. Did I say 3 is enough? In Photoshop, to create some very interesting special effects. Give these a try on images of your own.